living knows why. Real talk, hit it hard, opinions raw and real. Crime talk, that's the deal. Crystals, crime conversations, real talk, no hesitations. Crystals, crime conversations, fun around raw, all sensations. Welcome, come on in. Fun and raw, all sensations. Let's go.
Hello, hold on. Make sure it don't switch. As much as I would like to keep playing my music, not why I'm here. Y'all want to save a broom, rat a cactus? Sorry for the thumbnails. My algorithm, it's so funny. Anyways, so I was going to come on and cover the whole thing about Kid Rock, but I figure we'll save that. I found a really interesting part. We can go through it in bits and pieces because I found something else interesting that I thought that I would go over with you guys. Do you remember? I don't know if this happened. Let me look at the date. November 5th, 2023, Josh at the Lab has a live. Now, why is that doing that? In this live, he comes on about, now I haven't listened to this whole thing. I remember it happening. Maybe I did. I don't remember. But this is an interrogation or something about an interrogation while Dawn's in prison. I thought it was in jail. I thought it was interesting. But then what I want to go over is the lab's involvement. You see, Cam at Cracking Cases is the one that announced that the lab was having a romance scam right here on YouTube. And that concerns me, considering he got involved with an ex-police officer who's supposed to be here for the good. And Chris was around and watched this go down like it's criminal as fuck, if true. Right? So then we have, I'm going to be here a little bit. Because then we have Chris McDonough's involvement with Jody Sue and his involvement in the marathon, which is really concerning to me, and this is interesting. Now, I don't know if it was this or something else the other day he's bragging about, the good people that are taking in this money and whatever, but here he is with Jody Sue, and Jody Sue's demeanor is so much different than it is today. It's concerning to me. And then we'll go over this 4-minute and 50-second video of Kid Rock as he is questioned by Hickenlooper about the fees on concert tickets and the monopoly and what he has to say about some shady characters. All right. So, let's give this one a listen first.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the lab. I'm your host, Joshua Diaz, and I thank you for your patience. And I know that not easy waiting, and I appreciate it, especially since I had to push it back yesterday a little bit. Before we get started, and what I'll do is I'm going to I'll play the recordings. I'll play the recording uninterrupted. I don't know how much after I will talk. I kind of want this to stand on its own. Before we get there, I want people to understand that this isn't something that I did lightly. I didn't go into it just haphazardly. I spoke with the victims. I spoke with the suspect as well. And everybody is aware that it's going to be played. And trying to keep everything as civil as possible, I have edited out some of the stronger language, but I am sure that you'll be able to understand what's being said. And I won't keep you, like I said, I won't keep you too long. It's taken a lot of work to get here, to be honest with you. And but I don't know. I don't know. I'll just do it. All right. Without further ado.
It seems there's a long pause before it plays. Like I said, I hadn't listened to this yet. Here we go.
So I just want to make sure that everybody out there can hear. Like I said, I'm going to play an uninterrupted. So let me know if you can hear it. I've got it cranked.
Detective.
Hey, it's Officer with Hawkins County. Are you ready to speak with Mr. Wells?
Yes, officer, and I am.
Okay, here he is. Just a minute. Don't make any other phone calls, okay?
Hello?
Hi, is this Donald?
Yeah.
Hi, Donald. My name is John. I'm a detective. I'm a detective with the Roy City Police Department in Utah.
Okay.
Do you go by Donald? What do you prefer?
It don't matter. It don't matter. What's this about?
Well, Donald, I've got actually 3 open cases that you've been named as suspect in. So, I mean, before I can kind of get into them,
these are all lies, right? I mean, these are all lies, and I'm going to tell you something else.
So, Donald,
all the cases that you say you have against me, that's all lies. I've seen all that on YouTube and all that crap. I've seen all that. That's all lies.
Donald, before I can talk to you, because you're incarcerated, I've got to advise you of your rights. So,
so what are you saying? I'm under arrest or what?
No.
Who's these open cases? What are you talking about? Who's the open cases again? What are you talking about? What kind of open cases?
Okay, you're not giving me a chance here. So it's not. I didn't say you're under arrest. I said because you are incarcerated.
Well,
I've
I'm
got
going to tell you
advice.
right now, you ain't got to read me my rights, because I'm going to tell you right now, they're all lies, and it's all bullshit. So you ain't got to read me my rights, because I'm telling you, it's all bullshit. There ain't none of that stuff true.
Donald, you're not under.
My daughter out here has been abducted, and they went off the hook, and my stepdaughter or my stepsisters have said all kind of crazy stuff that ain't true. It's all lies.
Can I read you the Miranda warning and then talk to you about these cases? Is that okay?
Well, you're wasting your time, but whatever.
In my opinion, so far, this was all for content. You are exploiting, and I'm doing the same right now, and it's sad, but I have to call it out. You are exploiting the victims of Donald Wells as children, bringing up nightmares that they shouldn't even be thinking about again. If they wanted to go forward, they would have done it on their own. They didn't need the push for the lab and Chris McDonough to get content. Now, I've been covering this. Tiffany gave me permission not too long ago to share her thoughts, which I did. Please go back and look for those lives, because this is sort of a continuance of that. You see, Chris McDonough brought Josh at the lab in, which is really strange, and Jody constantly says the lab, the lab, the lab. I even had a phone call with Jody Sue one time where Jody was talking about Chris at the lab, and I've shared that, and I could share it again. I'd really have to look through like 2 hours of phone conversation. I don't feel like doing that tonight, but I've shared it in the past. But where Jody has said that Chris McDonough has followed her to her cancer appointments and things of that nature. Now, I know I go after Jody Sue here on these YouTube streets as somebody who has shown herself, like Ziggy and Fred, as a shady character, like Karen Elliott in the Summer Wells case. That's just my thoughts, my opinions. Nobody has to agree with them. But it's odd to me that Josh at the lab would be the one to bring this interrogation out. How do you get such? Chris McDonough had to have gone to the Roy City Police. Wasn't there rumors that he was friends with somebody there? Or isn't Chris from Utah himself also practicing LDS, I heard? I don't know if that's true, but I don't know, just odd. I've heard it around the streets. I don't know that it's true. Okay.
Why don't you, yeah.
All right, Donald.
Whatever, man.
All right, Donald. It's just I have to do this, Donald. You're incarcerated. I can't start talking to you without you, because you're being detained. This is what Miranda is: detention and questioning. So you're being detained over there. I have to advise you of your rights. Okay, that's why I'm doing
my
this.
rights.
Okay.
This is ridiculous.
All right, Donald. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be a representative before any questioning if you wish one. If you decide to answer questions now without having counsel present, you may stop answering questions at any time. Also, you may request counsel at any time during questioning. All right, Donald, you understand each of these rights I've explained to you?
Yeah, I understand my rights. I told you that.
Okay.
Damn, man.
All right, you're getting a little testy with me, and all I've been is cordial with you.
Well, and so ain't you? You're acting like, like...
No, I ain't.
Whatever,
I didn't act like nothing. I'm just trying to talk to you, is all. So, it's okay if I talk to you then about these cases?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it's all bullcrap. You can talk.
What pisses me off is, where's an attorney for Don Wells? Why didn't he have somebody present with him? Why didn't they offer him that? To me, it sounds like he was surprised by this interrogation and it was just fed to him. Did he have time to prepare? We have a right to know these things, Josh. Because even though Dawn Wells is the father of Summer Wells and she's missing, Dawn had rights. They were read to him, but did he fully understand them? Yeah, I think he did, but did he have time to prepare? Did you come out here giving full truths? Like, this is crazy to me. I don't understand how Josh at the lab gets this interrogation.
Talk all you want. I'm telling you right now, it's all bullshit.
Okay.
It's all bullshit and it's all lies. Anything to do with my stepsisters is all lies. Do you know anything about my daughter that disappeared off our property? You know anything about that?
No, I don't, sir. That's not my case.
Oh, yeah. Well, my daughter disappeared off my property when I was at work one day, and she hasn't been found. And FBI, TBI, and everything's been all over the case. And I've been a nervous wreck, and it's been a nightmare ever since. And my stepsisters started all these lies and stuff and everything because they've always hated my guts, and they've always called the cops on me every time I turn around, and they've always done everything to me that they can all my life.
Dawn has repeated this over and over again, that there was a fight over Dad's property, that Dawn and the step family did not get along for years and years and years. This is nothing new. However, I do appreciate that Dawn was in here stating, do you know anything about my missing child? Because he's in jail, and to me, that made it seem like Summer was his main concern. That's a cookie point. That's a brownie point for me with Dawn. I don't feel this was appropriate. I believe the TBI and FBI should have been made aware of it, and if they wanted the charges pushed, they would have pressed them themselves. They're in the middle of an investigation, and it hinders it, and it causes over state lines. It's causing confusion from Utah to there for a case that happened like 30, 40 fucking years ago. I'm not saying it didn't happen. Dawn has admitted to it happening. Several times here he denies it, but what he does is he puts Summer first. And I would have done the same damn fucking thing. Dawn does get a brownie point with me on this tape, on this interrogation at the lab. Should never have put out, in my opinion. It's grotesque.
Life to destroy my life. And this is just another attempt to destroy my life. It's bad enough my little girl's gone, and now they're going to do all this. And it's all lies.
Well, I'm not. Like I said, you're not under arrest. I don't pretend to know anything. I'm just calling to get your side of the story. That's what I'm trying to do.
Well, okay, all right. Well, yeah, it's all lies. All lies.
I haven't
lies.
even told you anything yet. I haven't even started yet.
Well, if it's anything to do with my stepsisters, it's all lies.
So Mary has reported to us that
that's the biggest liar ever.
Back in 1979 or 1980, you were hanging around with Mitch and Chris.
Yeah, I've heard the story. It's all lies, buddy. I'm telling you, she's a liar. It's a lie.
Okay.
It's a lie, man. It's on YouTube. I had done a talk about this whole thing right here on YouTube. It's all on YouTube, and it's a lie.
I believe that's the first story Mary came out with where she had said Dawn saved her for them two men. Then that story changed with Mary over time, stating that Dawn was part of attacking her with the two men who were Dawn's friends. Mary switched her stories, and that's a problem for me.
All right.
She's
Well,
the biggest liar ever. When she's been caught in so many lies on YouTube, it ain't even funny.
yeah, she's
a
saying
snake in the grass. Yeah, I
this
know
is-
what she's saying.
she's saying that this would have happened
No
at your
lie.
house here, 1719 South, and a little,
No, that's
and you guys kind of chased her around and pulled her clothes off.
no, that's a lie. That is a lie. That's the biggest lie ever. She's a huge liar. Wow, it's so unbelievable that she's doing this. Yeah, it's the biggest lies. No, hell to the no, buddy. Lies.
So you're saying
Hell
that
no.
that didn't happen?
Hell no.
Okay.
No.
Another case I have is with Jeannie.
No, yeah, another liar.
Okay. She's saying that she was abused.
I don't believe that Jeannie is a liar. I've had a very long, extensive phone call with Jeannie. She has got to be one of the most innocent, soft spoken, funny, beautiful people I've ever had the pleasure to speak to during Summer Will's case. I enjoyed my conversation with her and I have not reached out to her since. I don't think that she needs to be bothered and harassed by YouTube creators. She's given her story several times. So has Trish, her daughter. At one point, she asked me to put out some proof for her. I can't remember what that is. I'd have to really go back through my files and see if I even have it. There was proof out there at one point that I've had conversations with her. Tiffany Marie knows that I've had a conversation with Jeannie. And Jeannie is not a fan of what Chris McDonough was doing, and she felt pressured. So I'll come out here upon myself. I'll take it upon myself. It's probably wrong of me to do, but my morals tell me that I should come out here upon myself and tell you people that Jeannie felt like she was pressured by Chris McDonough. There was, in that recording I played of Tiffany Marie felt pressured by Chris McDonough. All these females you hear that have spoke to him feel pressured by Chris McDonough as if he uses his authority when he speaks to them. He started these discords and put all these people in these discords. Scott H, AB, Tiffany Marie. He's the one that catfished the YouTube creators, in my opinion, and it's odd. I don't know why Chris McDonough did it. I don't know that anybody does, but it doesn't make sense that he would hinder a case, being he's a retired police officer, in my opinion. He's hindered it in so many ways, like with Hunter, with Candace. He shouldn't have been questioning those people, because anything they say can and will be used against them in a court of law if they ever be arrested. Anybody who has put them people out here on YouTube, especially things like this could be used in a case against Dawn or for Dawn. What if Dawn did do something in the summer, and because of what Chris McDonough did, it gets thrown out because of speculation, or they can't find a jury, the jury's tainted, or Chris McDonough knows all this shit as a retired police officer, and it makes me fucking sick. He gave this tape to the lab, and then he allowed his road dog, his little puppet, to put it out so he don't get in trouble for it, right? Fucking odd shit.
Used by actually about at the age of started at the age of 5 or 6, and went all the way to the age of 13.
She's a liar too.
And this all occurred at your parents' house there. Probably she thought it was in 1977.
She's a liar.
Okay.
No,
She's
it's all
saying
lies, too.
she recanted one of the stories where she woke up in the middle of the night and she felt sort of pain in her vagina. And she said that you were putting your inside of her.
It's all lies. No.
This is all lies.
I can't. We're going to move on. That's too detailed for me. That's gross, and that's re-victimizing somebody. And Josh at the lab put it all out there for people to fucking hear. That's gross. Fuck you, Josh, for that. Fuck you.
I'm not too impressed, to be honest. Danielle, I'm glad to see you. I need you to email us again because I need to talk to you. But as far as all this with the lab and the grab and all that, I kept getting phone calls. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to tell you the truth about how some stuff went down because this upsets me. And it's not true crime. This is using a true crime part of YouTube and making it drama over something that's completely dumb. Anyway, so Jenny Penny months ago reached out to us out of nowhere, and let me tell you how weird this is. Called on the Cracking Cases Facebook page, which I never answer. Allie never answers, and for some reason we just happened to answer it that day. Well, she just starts kind of unloading on all this stuff that y'all are watching on the grab. Yeah, exactly, Lana. Why are people calling us? We thought it was strange to begin with. We're like, why are you reaching out to us with this? Starts this unloading all this, gives us these downloads. I've had these recordings and some that haven't even been played yet for months. And as late as a week ago, I got a call getting accused that we put it out there. We leaked it. We did this. I said one time I played about 30 seconds of one because I was upset at what I was told by Jenny Penny. And I've been sitting back watching. So it was way more than just us that she reached out to and that she sent these recordings to. And it's stupid. It's just, those things between her and the lab, granted, are bad, whatever. I've got kind of a better insight into it, but I saw Tiffany Marie talking about it earlier. I don't know when that live was, but I was like, well, there's her getting, Jenny and Penny reached out to her in July. Well, the reason it was brought to kind of our attention, it was said that you guys, I don't know if you remember when Josh from the lab came over to our live one time, and I was talking about how he had a live stream, and I found it very encouraging. Well, he came over on our panel one night. Well, I have, Keith, and that's what I've been doing this whole time right here. I am explaining what I'm talking about. So there's the grab, and then there's the lab, the channel. The grab has been doing this exposing of the lab, right? Or whatever it is. Okay. So I've sat quiet. There was very few people that knew we had this stuff. And, between personal friends is the only person I never even let people listen to it. We didn't even listen to it in its entirety because it didn't really matter to me. But the way it was brought to me was that the day that Josh from the lab came on our panel, that it was somewhat to be a nefarious reason. Okay. I don't remember. Do you remember? what she said was the reason. Huh? I can't remember either, but it was supposed to be nefarious, whatever. I got pissed off about it, and I was like, well, I really thought that was sincere, and it came from the heart that night, and it kind of just bothered me. I got over it pretty quickly, didn't talk about it anymore. It doesn't matter to me. It's not true crime. It doesn't help cases. It doesn't help anything. I will admit that hearing those things that Josh was saying, I will be honest, and if people can't agree with this, I don't know what you're listening to, but he did not know very much about any of the cases he was following, besides reading it offline. And that's fine. Read your info offline. Get your, but give your sources credit and don't say it's
I don't know what recordings he's talking about, but I can imagine that these had something to do with the fact. I do remember some recordings coming out about Jenny Penny, and I don't know who the fuck she is. I would like to know her real name and how all this really transpired. Because apparently she was sending Josh huge lumps of money to pay for medication for his grandmother, and he was promising her the moon, the stars, the sun, with no intentions on ever doing anything with her. And as a matter of fact, isn't he a married man with like 2 kids or something? Like, fucking odd as fuck to me. I don't quite fucking understand it. And what I really don't understand is why Chris McDonough would back all of this after dumping a Doug where he found Josh, both being from California, right? Like, just fucking weird shit to me.
sure. That's all fine, whatever. We all use the web to do our research. It's part of it. But I'm not gonna sit here and get accused as late as last week of leaking these calls out to these other channels, because it didn't happen that way. Obviously, they were sent out to multiple channels, and I'm not going to be the scapegoat or the fault guy. I have all 3 of them right here. There's 3 of them that are pretty bad. I don't know if they played them in their entirety. There was another little channel that had gotten them.
You know what's really odd is it's sort of the same thing Ziggy did with that lady, but only minus the romance. So, Ziggy, are you sending like naked pictures to that lady, or was that some sort of like lesbo romance scam? Or because it sounds like the same sort of thing. It's odd. And who the fuck out here gives these creators like thousands of dollars for no damn reason? Strangers.
I got accused of them getting them from us, because what we were told by Jenny Penny was that we had the only 3. What was it? We were the only people that got the third. We were the only people that got the 3rd recording. Is what we were told. Well, I've seen since then that there's been 10 other, excuse me, channels that obviously had access to this stuff. It's stupid. That we never even listened to. Yeah, that we never even listened to. And so when she asked me about it, I said, yeah, I played about 30 seconds of it. She said, well, you didn't have permission to do that. I said, no, I didn't, but I did it. And I played it on Angel Talks Too Fast. And it was because I was upset, and I acted out of anger, which I then turned around and apologized for. It's so dumb. This does not help any case that we're supposed to be covering. It's drama. It's been used to infiltrate into drama. Yes, I know it's not right to think.
So this was September 25th, 2022. So was this before the whole romance scam happened? Because that's odd. Why would Jenny Penny get a man? I gotta find these fucking recordings. I thought this was gonna be something totally different. I hope Cam plays them. We're gonna be here a little bit, I guess. But before we go and play more of this, the whole reason I brought this out is because I want to remind people of this dumb bullshit, in my opinion, that Jody Sue played in. And I believe it's a well organized criminal organization with her.
At that spot. And so they were just kind of squatting down. I don't know that they were taking it seriously. They're a bunch of kids. They think, yeah, it'll be all right type of thing. That's the way I took it, and their mannerisms and stuff. Just being kids. But when I come there, like, adults, we were supposed to be looking, you know. And, yeah, and the oldest looked at me, and I mean, you know, me and the oldest know each other a bit, you know what I mean, like through years. And I was like, you know, I asked him, he was the spokesman for the little group, and they had that look like, oh man, we've got to march back to the house, we're going to get told on, probably going to be in trouble type of, you know, I was like, because I acted a little weird. I thought, man, they think I'm going to tell their mama, and they're going to be in deep crap for playing instead of looking for summer. And they had come to the, when I was going towards the creek to get in, and after I heard them talk to Candace that last time, they went down to your staring directly, face on it, Candace's mailbox and stuff. They went downhill to the left and towards the creek that way, towards Simpson. So where they were at, everything made sense. But no, when I come across them, they weren't playing hide and seek. They were playing in the water, like all squatted down in a little row, you know, chin sort of almost touching knees, really enamored looking at something, and I interrupted them. I mean, but, you know, they went right back to the motel and back towards, you know, the house. Is where they were going the last time. See them that day, and then I think I talked to them the next day, and over the course of the following weeks, you know, until, so, but yeah, I mean.
So, what happened then? So at that point, what takes place?
After the boys that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Before I reached the boys, Dawn and Baltimore had come in almost at the same time. Candace was out towards the end of the road. She had told Baltimore what happened.
What car's Dawn driving?
The red Subaru.
Okay, so the red car that you would have thought earlier that you mentioned, that is definitely not the car.
Yeah, see, that's what confused me when I seen it. Initially, when Candace came down the hill, I was expecting a Subaru. And then it wasn't. It was her mom's Tahoe. And I was like, well, whatever. I probably parked first in line, so she's a kid, right? And then when later on, after the cops, the first two cops come in, and then Dawn shows up after Baltimore, just like right behind each other. Dawn shows up, and I see him visibly. At that point, I was still close enough, even though I was right at the main road of Beach Creek, I could see the end of Ben Hill. And so he shows up in the red Subaru. And I'm like, what? You know, and I'm like, hold on. I'm like, so what the hell was that red flash? It was definitely not them earlier. But see, that's what was wrong in my head earlier. The reason I think I knew something was off with that color, because the red that went up the driveway before that wasn't shiny. It wasn't candy apple red. It was an off red. It was not right. And that's why I asked my son even bothered going, who was that? Because if I see, you know what I mean? That's what cued my brain in. But it was like, it took steps to realize, you know?
So that kind of confused you too at that moment.
But the color, I knew it wasn't right coming up the driveway earlier, that the red wasn't right, that the clear coat wasn't there. And that's why I even bothered to ask who was that. Because my brain went, you know, that ain't right, that ain't the neighbors. But I just, you know, when my son said, oh, it's the neighbors, I dismissed that too.
Could it have been done?
I don't think so, because the traction was wrong on it, and it didn't complete the circle.
Between a 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, where would you put it that it is him and is or isn't?
I'd rather not state that publicly.
50-50?
I don't understand that. She has made that claim twice. That whatever it was that went up that didn't have a clear coat, that was dirty and dingy, red in color, stopped by the basement door and didn't finish the circle. Well, then where did it go, Jody? It doesn't disappear into thin air. Where does it turn around with Candace standing up there? And you said this was prior. How about you give us a fucking time? What time did you say that was? 3:30? Isn't that the time Chad was in the holler? Like, these are important ass fucking details. And you're just putting them off. And here's Chris McFucking putting this shit out here when it should be going to the fucking police. If he's recording things like this, they should go to the police. Here she is on the marathon. I believe it's in this recording. She's going to offer her shirt. She's going to say how well this marathon went, how excited she is for it. However, she does say, I'll give all the proceeds to Summer, even though she threw a fit after that. Jody Sue was also one of the first people to talk to Chris McDonough. A few months later, but she was also another witness, suspect, either or, in this case, that came out here. However, she's the first one that came out here begging for money. This is clear proof of it. We're going to be here a little bit tonight.
I'm just, I don't know, but it's something that, I'd just rather not publicly say it just because my opinion holds weight. And I mean, they're already doing things, and that's been my mission from the get-go, was never about guilt or innocence or speaking on my opinion. Other than to say that I don't think Candace did it, just because of seeing her face that day and her voice and knowing the risk for her and calling 911 even.
What risk? Why does Candace have a risk of calling 911, Jody? What did you mean by that? And I want you to also understand that you came out here swinging for Candace as if you was her lesbian lover or something. It wasn't until Squall intervened with Candace and you acted really jealous. And then there was the whole Candace asked me to change my story thing, which changed a couple times. Look at you go.
I feel like she didn't have anything to do with it, but I can't speak on it or what, I may have missed that day. Because there's all kinds of, I could have missed all kinds of things. What we heard, and I'm willing to say it. And that's the thing. I've always been open to the possibility that, take away the screen, right? Take it away entirely. The same possibility still exists, but there's a bigger picture there than just John or Candace and poof. And that was but talk privately, I have no issue with that, but there are certain things, and that was my mission coming on right. It was not to speak of guilt or innocent. It was just to let people know there's a bigger picture there.
I will definitely take you up on that. And what's interesting is, and I think you and I will probably agree, when I first met Candace,
she is abused, and I think she's continuing to be abused, especially by some two people and some of the people being surrounded by her. And I think the public's looking at it in a different way, but as somebody that comes from domestic violence and comes from that hill on that property, they keep saying we all besties. Is there? No. And that's the truth. But, we barely talk. We talk more since this has happened than before. But your neighbors in that area is different. And,
You have a good heart, Josie. You really do, and Jody, you do. And first of all, you know, and then the other side of that now, right? It's like one of the things that really struck me was this idea of this red truck. Break that down a little bit more for us. For me,
on the red truck, I witnessed.
Yeah.
The one I witnessed, I don't know that is. I know that somebody else is who reported the red truck, right? But there was a truck I was seeing, and I had, you know, like the first few days, they were like, well, did you see? Because by that person,
the red truck. There's somebody else that reported the red truck, but there's this truck I've been seeing. She's going to go into detail of the driver. Then she's going to go on to tell you about a flea market that Candace actually went to with Chris Marcos, where some lady had posted something on Facebook about seeing a red truck, and Jody Sue just all of a sudden sees the same red truck. Says she's reporting it that day, but it's not the red truck, even though Lawson's coming out saying it was a worker, a delivery driver, somebody, but that doesn't. To me, it seems like Jody tried to take credit for reporting the fucking truck. I don't fucking know. I don't understand how she has as much detail as she does about the driver. If a driver is going past you.
there were rumors amongst everybody standing there, the neighbors, of a red truck would also be mixed with Jackie Dove's vehicle being there at the same time. And we were like, no, there's some things there that, you know, but we were like, no, the only one here was the blue, you know, Trailblazer. And there was no other vehicle. There was no red truck here. And then by the time, you know, everything finishes, the days go on, they finally start asking about a red truck. And I was like, well, you know, I didn't see one in here that day. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I was being asked about. And they gave me this picture. And it was like, I didn't see that day. And, you know.
So she's saying the feds came up to her and gave her a picture. And it wasn't until weeks later. Now, I want you to remember. Let me go see if I could go find it. June 16th, the Amber Alert was issued. However, the truck wasn't on the initial Amber Alert.
Now at noon, we're following breaking news. An Amber Alert now issued by the TBI for a missing 5-year-old girl.
Enjoying some nice change out there today. Low humidity once again. We're talking some potential record lows tonight. Details straight ahead.
This is breaking news from News Channel 11.
Right now, the search continues for Summer Wells, the missing 5-year-old girl from Rogersville. And breaking news this afternoon, that endangered child alert now upgraded to an Amber Alert by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. You're watching News Channel 11 at noon. I'm Sydney Kessler. 5-year-old Summer Wells has not been seen since last night. Agents from both the TBI and the FBI are investigating along with local authorities. Wells is roughly 3 feet tall, weighing 40 pounds with blonde hair and blue eyes. She was last seen wearing gray pants and a pink shirt. Now, she was reportedly last seen outside of her home in the area of Ben Hill Road and Beach Creek Road. Both crews have been searching on foot and with helicopters since last night. News Channel 11's Kate Nemrich joins us now live with the very latest details. Kate, what do we know so far?
Sydney, an Amber Alert was issued for 5-year-old Summer Wells just about an hour ago. Around that time, we started seeing helicopters circling once again, searching for her. Now, the road, Ben Hill Road, where she lives and was reportedly last seen, remains closed at this time. Ainsley Daniels is also on scene with me, and she just drove past that scene a few minutes ago, where there are plenty of emergency responders present. The TBI, FBI, Hawkins Sheriff's Office, Hawkins Emergency Rescue, Kingsport Life Saving Crew, Bristol Fire, and many more. We're a few miles down the road at Solomon's Temple Baptist, where they have placed balloons in their prayer garden for Summer. They say Summer and her family used to attend this church, and she and her siblings did programs here.
She's a sweetheart. She's just a tiny little thing, and we all love her to death, and just hoping that everything turns out to the good here today.
Daughtry hopes to release the balloons when Summer is found. They are planning a prayer vigil for later this afternoon, but at this time they have not released the details. Again, this has been upgraded to an Amber Alert. 5-year-old Summer Wells has been missing since last night. Live in Sullivan County, Kate Nemrich, News Channel 11.
Kate, thank you. Now, take another good look at this photo here of 5-year-old Summer Wells.
As a red Toyota truck goes by, it looked like. But it wasn't until June 26th. Now, keep in mind, this was June 16th. One day after Summer went missing, they issued the Amber Alert. It wasn't until 10 days later that they issued the red truck. Summer's Amber Alert was issued without the truck. So there's another thing they were looking at. It wasn't just a truck. And somebody talking about the truck led them to a truck. However, that's not what led them to the Amber Alert. Somehow they were able to issue this Amber Alert without a vehicle. And to me, that's interesting.
Officials say in the process of speaking with neighbors about the night Summer disappeared, officials are looking for the driver of a Toyota pickup truck who was seen in the Beach Creek community either Monday or Tuesday of last week. The pickup is possibly a 1998 to 2000 maroon or red Toyota Tacoma with a full bed ladder rack along the white buckets in the truck bed. They're looking to speak with the driver and want to stress that they are not a suspect, but can be a potential witness. Summer went missing the night of June 15th from her Hawkins County home, and crews have been working day and night searching for the child, but still her whereabouts remain a mystery.
I'm looking for where Lawson said, because the next thing I would want to show you is where Ronnie Lawson says, hold on. Let me see if I could search a different way. No solid lead. Would this be it? Oh, here's the district attorney. I think we should talk about him soon, too. Because Ziggy's over there putting him in with the Epstein shit. I don't know. Anyways, we're not even going to look for that. Everybody already knows. Here, actually, we will. We'll do it this way. Who would be reputable here? Oh, look, I found my hindrance video. Isn't that odd? I was looking for it last night. Let's throw that on because this is what hinders a case. And this is
actions have significantly impacted the investigation.
I'm going to show you how Jody Sue and Chris McDonough have hindered Summer's case, in my opinion. This is a video that I made June 14th, 2024.
Raising critical questions about the integrity and progress of the case. First, we'll explore Jody Sue Brown's public statements and involvement, including her account of hearing a scream the night Summer vanished. Then, we'll delve into Chris McDonough's role, from his early interviews and participation in controversial events to serious accusations against Don Wells. Understanding these dynamics is crucial to comprehending the broader challenges law enforcement faces in this high-profile case. So get comfortable, grab your favorite drink, and let's dive deep into the controversial details of the Summer Wells investigation.
The role of misinformation in the Jody Sue Brown situation, protecting the integrity of the Summer Wells investigation. All right, let's get real about this. High-profile investigations are intense, and the pressure on law enforcement is sky-high. Everyone wants updates and answers ASAP. But here's the kicker: sometimes the police have to keep things under wraps or even throw out a little misinformation. Sounds shady? Maybe. But there's a method to the madness. Let's dive into why this happens, especially in the case of Jody Sue Brown and the Summer Wells investigation. Jody Sue Brown's account and its implications. So Jody Sue Brown claimed she heard a scream the night Summer Wells vanished. Sounds like a big deal, right? It is. But Jody Sue's turned herself into a YouTube star, talking about this case for hours on end, almost every day. And that's where things get messy. Credibility issues. Imagine you're in court. You want your witnesses to be seen as reliable and unbiased. But if Jody Sue's out there sharing her story on YouTube nonstop, people might start questioning her motives. Is she after the truth or the views? That's the problem. Her credibility can take a hit when she's constantly in the public eye. Contamination of evidence. Think of this like a crime scene in your favorite detective show. You don't want a bunch of people tramping through it, right? Same goes for witness testimonies. If Jody Sue is broadcasting her version of events, it can mess with other witnesses' memories. They might start remembering things that align with what she said, even if that's not what really happened. Operational security. This is about keeping the investigation under wraps so the bad guys don't know what's coming. If Jody Sue's scream is a critical clue, the last thing the cops want is for potential suspects to know they're onto them. They might start covering their tracks or worse, go on the run. Managing public perception. Let's face it, the media loves a juicy story. And Jody Sue's scream, that's headline gold. But if the media gets too much info, they can spin it in all kinds of ways, which can totally derail the investigation. The cops need to keep a tight lid on things to stay focused and avoid a circus. The challenges of maintaining integrity. Now let's talk about why this all matters so much. Witnesses like Jody Sue can make or break a case. But when they become media sensations, it's a whole different ballgame. Public persona versus witness credibility. If Jody Sue is more of a YouTube personality than a witness, her testimony might not hold up in court. It's like trying to convince a jury with evidence from a reality TV show, fun to watch, but not always reliable. The impact of public statements. Every time Jody Sue talks about the case, it's like she's throwing a pebble into a pond. The ripples spread, and other people's stories start to change. That's not good for getting to the truth. Protecting the witness. There's also the issue of safety. By being so public, Jody Sue has put herself in the spotlight, which can attract all kinds of unwanted attention, from trolls to actual threats. That can scare other potential witnesses from coming forward, thinking they'll get the same treatment. The need for confidentiality. When it comes to catching the bad guys, secrecy is key. If suspects know what the cops know, they can dodge the law. By controlling the narrative, law enforcement can keep their edge and catch the culprits. Comparable cases and the importance of controlled information. Let's take a look at some real-life cases where keeping things under wraps was crucial. The John Bennett Ramsey case. Back in 1996, the Boulder police kept the details of the ransom note and other key evidence close to their chest. This was all about keeping the investigation clean and avoiding a media frenzy that could tip off suspects. The Delphi murders. When Liberty German and Abigail Williams were killed, the Indiana State Police kept a lot of details quiet. This helped them stay on track and eventually led to the arrest of a suspect. The Green River Killer. During this investigation, the cops kept details about evidence and suspect profiles under wraps. This stopped the killer from changing his behavior and evading capture. Law enforcement strategy and public engagement. Law enforcement has to walk a fine line in these situations. They need the public's help but can't give away too much. It's like playing poker, you don't show your hand until you're ready to win. Managing media relations. The cops need to give enough info to keep the public informed and cooperative without spilling the beans. In the Summer Wells case, that means being super careful about what's said regarding Jodisu's scream. Public cooperation. Getting tips from the public can be huge, but if too much info gets out, it can lead to false leads and confusion. The police need to manage this flow of information carefully. Strategic misinformation. Sometimes, the cops have to throw out a little misinformation to keep suspects guessing. This can mean downplaying certain details like Jodisu's scream, so the bad guys don't know how close the cops are. Conclusion. The challenges of maintaining integrity. In the case of Summer Wells, Jodisu Brown's public activities have likely complicated her role as a witness. Her constant presence on social media and the subsequent public debate over her statements have possibly compromised the investigation's integrity. Law enforcement's decision to manage and sometimes withhold details is driven by the need to protect evidence, maintain operational security, and prevent public panic or misinformation. Understanding these nuances helps us appreciate the delicate balance law enforcement must maintain in high-profile cases. While public interest and media scrutiny are inevitable, ensuring the integrity of the investigation remains the foremost priority. By carefully managing information and controlling the narrative, law enforcement can work towards a resolution that truly serves justice for Summer Wells and her family. Recognizing the importance of these strategies in high-profile cases, we can support law enforcement in their efforts to conduct thorough and effective investigations, ultimately leading to justice for the victims and their families. And remember, sometimes it's a mix of serious strategy and a bit of chaos control, because in the world of high-profile investigations, it's not always what it seems. The role of misinformation in the Jodisu Brown situation. Protecting the integrity of the Summer Wells investigation. In the high-profile case of Summer Wells, the role of Jodisu Brown and her account of hearing a scream the night Summer disappeared has raised significant questions. Law enforcement's handling of this detail has been a focal point of public and media scrutiny. Understanding why they might downplay or withhold information regarding Jodisu's statement is crucial in appreciating the complexities of maintaining the integrity of an investigation. Transition to Chris McDonough's involvement. While Jodisu Brown's actions and public statements have complicated the investigation, another figure whose involvement...
I found it. Before we move on to Chris McDonough, this is a 6-minute video. It's always good to go re-explore. I am in no hurry tonight.
Is talking about details in the Summer Wells investigation. He hasn't done it yet until now. Her father is also showing us a path he claims, a little used path, he claims a kidnapper used to abduct his daughter and then disappear without a trace.
Our Erica Lunsford walked that trail with Don Wells and sat face-to-face with Sheriff Ronnie Lawson in a WVLT exclusive interview.
Now 114 days after the little girl was reported missing. Erica, you've learned a lot. Tell us more.
That's right. Summer's father tells me he believes the trouble started at the basement door, a door he says her brothers often left unlocked and wide open.
And we'd get on them a lot, and so you can't do that, but it just, you know, we'd always find it open a lot of times and stuff. And so we tried to control that, but to know, you know, they couldn't control it 100% of the time.
Dawn Wells tells me Summer was last seen going to the basement to play with her toys. Her 3 older brothers upstairs, her mother and grandmother in the yard facing away from the basement door, and Dawn Wells at work.
We don't know if someone was waiting in the basement or if she come outside here and went to the swing. All we know is she went down the basement.
Wells says he believes someone was lurking at the top of the dog trail, just feet away from the basement door. He says the predator somehow managed to snatch Summer, then raced down the steep hill as she struggled.
I guess you guys want to walk around through here.
The trail was not an easy walk. To get down the rugged hill, Wells and I had to hold on to trees. I struggled not to trip or even fall on tree roots.
I need to slide a little bit.
So the dogs kind of came down this trail here.
Yeah.
It's pretty steep.
Yeah. I didn't know the dogs even had a trail down through here till the police dogs followed it all the way to the road.
Will says he overheard authorities say search dogs followed Summer's scent down the trail to the road before losing it. He painted a vivid picture of a kidnapping, telling me a neighbor likely heard Summer scream.
I think whoever grabbed her probably had her mouth covered, and I think she was gasping for air by the time she got down through here somewhere, because our neighbor heard a scream, a really funny scream. I think they just carried her to a vehicle and threw her in there and took her somewhere far away from here.
Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson has not publicly commented on specifics of the case until now. I asked Sheriff Lawson about Wells' claims. Did dogs follow Summer's scent down the trail to the main road? The sheriff says yes.
The dogs had a pretty good trail, a track for a little while, but then it disappeared. But they lost scent when they come to the road. And sometimes canines, they will lose the scent when it changes different type, whether it maybe went from the gravel to the pavement.
And did a neighbor hear a scream?
Best I recall, it's been a couple months ago, I think that was unfounded.
Wells tells me the family home on Ben Hill Road is surrounded by drug dealers and buyers.
And there goes your Fred. And then Ronnie Lawson. Let's just finish the damn video since we're here. But Ronnie Lawson goes on to say, they ain't got a drug problem, but he'll go arrest Fred later on for the same drug problem they say they don't have on Beach Creek. Why? Is it because of the YouTube pressure that was placed on him?
You get all kinds, with the drug trade, and we've seen quite a bit of stuff surrounding the meth thing. We've parked our neighbors caught them parked at our road in our driveway in the middle of the night or early in the morning and stuff like that, and run them off, and they get mad and they raise Cain, and we've had quite a bit of problems.
But Sheriff Lawson tells me Wells lives on a quiet street.
I've heard rumors of, there is maybe a drug dealer on that road, but it's just like anywhere. Ben Hill Road is no different than any other roads in Hawkins, Sullivan, or any other county far as.
I beg to differ. I say it isn't just Ben Hill and that hollow, it's the hollows that connect. You got a lot of people connected to the Light family and the Dykes family and the families that live within those roads that have been, and I showed you last night, arrested for even crimes on Jackie Dobbs' property. Years ago that Jody Sue's fighting about. And then let's not forget, Chicken on a Stick came out stating that she knew about a crime from 30 years ago, but that's not for tonight. But anyways, you get the drift. Let's go back to Jody Sue and Chris McDonough for a little bit before I show you how Chris McDonough hinders the case.
Sometimes it can be kind of short. I'm obviously not a short-winded person, but they want the question answered and they move on. And there was a lot of things to do, a lot of agencies involved. I understand it. They're doing their job. But then we had a specialized team come out, and it was like, there was a guy that was coming in here and, tried to expand, but there was a truck that had been coming in and out for weeks. And the reason I would see it is because I was down there trying to run the survey lines and things for weeks and pull all the property stuff and measure and do this and other across mine and Gaddis's and through other properties to make sure hours lined up. And so I was seeing this guy come in and out, and because I have to sit at the bottom of the hill because my body doesn't take stuff like that well anymore, so I'd rest. But then around the same time, a lot of days I'd be waiting on Baltimore to get in from work, and I'd be waiting up. But this guy kept coming in and out in a truck just like they're looking for. To me, it was a little older, a little earlier, but not by much. Baltimore seen the truck too, and the guy, and he thought he knew who it was and where they lived, but we can't find the truck. And couldn't at that time either. It was no longer placed and living where it was, and which is just a few houses down from where I'm at now. But I don't know that he was around it. This guy would come by every day at the same time. I thought, well, drug traffic, something like, you know what I mean? And we were almost eye to eye every day, and just, like maybe 2 feet apart. Because usually it's flowers doing something at that point. But he always kind of looked at me a little odd, but I don't know. But he didn't look like he was on drugs. That's what got me. And he just,
So she was usually down there doing something with her 2 flowers. She had yellow, almost like tulips that die after the spring. Maybe like tiger lilies or something. They were planted in tires. And she was so mad at Andy that when they evicted her, she picked them flowers up and took a picture of them and put them in. It's much like the cactus story. It's so odd. They're not flowers that need well kept or that you go down and see every day. And here she's saying it's every day. It's usually I was messing with my flowers at that time of day. No, Jody, was you giving this guy something at that time of day? Because your description of him is like amazing. It's odd.
for some reason, his face stuck with me. And that's something strange these days because faces usually don't anymore. It's something that was taken by medicines, like beta blockers a couple years ago. And so I don't really do faces, directions, stuff like that as well as I used to. But, and it depends on the day. But for some reason his face is stuck with me even before summer. You won't listen, but I can see his face and his hair still, and I know that if he'd stepped out of the truck, he's shorter than I am, darker skin, tattoos, like almost gel-like, but better quality than that on the left arm. Smaller, but almost like construction, but nothing that would be super upper body. You know, it wasn't super muscular. Wasn't stringy, sort of drug addict construction you see either. The hair kind of had that silver tint, some black, but it wasn't silver. It's almost like ethnic or sort of like certain types of indigenous.
Tiffany takes pauses here. This is absolutely insane to me. How do you have this much detail of the driver of this red truck that's coming through every day while you're messing with your 2 flowers? This is something that never made sense to me. Wah, wah, wah. You're right. Wah, 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 wah. I agree. Come on, Tiffany. Here we go.
Like it has something to it that just makes it different, and it was flat, but it wasn't unclean. Kind of thin, but not like super thin. His nose had a different type of shape to it. I mean, he looked healthy, but it was super up. But there was a ladder rack on the truck that kept coming or going. And then, like I said, I talked to cops about it off and on through this, but Like, and it was mostly lower center truck, and I was kind of dismissed. I never even got to the guy really what it looked like or anything. And then I found this woman's post, and I've got proof on my phone that I saw this guy. I was looking for him after even being dismissed, kind of about it. Wasn't dismissed. It was just like, okay, we heard you, type of thing, But,
Is he Hispanic?
No. I mean, he's got something there, but it's not full on anything. You know what I mean? Like, there's something there. And you can tell it in the nose shape, in the face, and the hair. And the skin tone, but you can't really, there's something in the background of genetics there, but it's not full out or enough to, did you? Absolutely the same man in the same truck I was going to be hollow too. And near the time that Candace is down there shopping at her garage sale with the boys in summer, but he's also holding out, for days as well to it and doesn't belong in there. And then after summer vanishes, so does that truck and the man, and he's not seen against hollow either. So there's two places the same truck and guy are spotted driving in and out that he doesn't belong in, and he's just gone after summer's gone. But in all fairness, lots of traffic disappeared, and we couldn't tell because after we had the guard on the road for weeks, nobody could get in and out of the ID except for woodcutters and black garbage, thousands of searchers, you know how it goes. But, after the guard was taken off the road for all those weeks, then what you had was people in real life online. It's like at night, I was at their walking banks waiting, because, I know some people, it's like, usually predators like that revisit, especially if they take extreme risk. But you couldn't pick out one from the other because of all the crazies going real life from online, and all the weirdos wanting to look and do TikToks, and, and it scared off the real traffic and even dope traffic and all kinds of other things that would have been normal, So, it wouldn't have been odd either, but this truck disappeared and so did the guy. There's two places he had gone in.
So let's go back to
Scaring off dope traffic. She wants that dope traffic there. I don't fucking know. I'm sure the YouTubers weren't scaring off the dope traffic, Jody. There was police all over Beach Creek. Why would the dope traffic continue while the police are searching their properties? That's kind of fucking dumb. And you're putting that on YouTubers. Although I do agree, you had a very big thing for Juanita, and there was some gunplay according to Dawn, and all this crazy shit going on. Fred saying you were mentioning the psychics being there before Summer went missing, and she can see in slow motion. Earl's sitting right next to me texting. However, it's just really odd. How do you see all this with a guy just driving by in a truck? And how many days did he drive by? Was it months? Was it weeks? Was it one time? Was it 10 times? Was it 100 times? The guy's tattoo, his skin tone, the shape of his nose. That's just a lot of fucking detail to me.
after the boys. You communicate with the boys. What was the first couple of hours like when the cops got there? Where was everybody? My understanding is everybody was at the top of the hill at the command center, and then the police started, organizing. Don showed up. First he went to the shed down on the road. What do you remember?
The first few hours were just kind of chaos at that point. the neighbors and all of us, I mean, like, because by that point, I and the other neighbor, the other closest that actually knew what summer looked like, we basically knew she wasn't in there, but, so we go back out to the main. Other neighbors started trying to join the search.
They're already searching, her and this other neighbor, but they got to join the search. Well, if you're already searching, why do you have to join the search? That's number one. Number two, what did she say? Hold on, let me go back.
Closest that actually knew what summer looked like.
The closest actually knew what summer looked like. She's stating none of the neighbors knew what summer looked like. Not the Goads, not the Sextons, who were actually related to Summer. The Brits didn't know what they looked like. The Dykes didn't know what they looked like, even though they were the Brits' neighbors. And Candace and Dawn were down there often, and they were up there often. And, you know, all these people they're friends with. Francis Dykes, Marlena, Fred. Nobody knew what Summer looked like except for her and this only one other neighbor, because nobody's ever seen Summer before. That's what Jody came out here trying to tell people. Y'all remember that? Like, that's some sick shit, dude. People knew what Summer looked like. People in the area knew Summer. She attended the churches. She attended all of the social events that happened in the area. Candace took the kids to all the Easter events and things of that nature. Crystal Spencer talks about it. They used to take their kids together. Please, you need to fucking stop that bullshit. Like, you're inclusive to knowing Summer Wells. Girl, all you wanted was clout.
We basically knew she wasn't in there, but, so we go back out to the main. Other neighbors started trying to join the search.
How do you know she ain't in there?
I think the third copy, because there was two that come past me, I think the third copy and told them about the screen. I walk out onto the driveway, we just wait. At this point, it starts being cop after cop. There was, I mean, for the most part, for the first couple hours, I'm trying to figure out what I can say or I can't say, shouldn't say publicly about, you know, because I don't want, you know, the investigation to talk about.
Yeah, we can talk about that. And
you know, it's normal chaos that you expect. But the neighbors, they were on four-wheelers. We were looking. Everybody had their property cleared very short time. Had cameras out for the cops, lining up with someone for screens handed over with it.
By the time police got there, she's saying she had cameras ready to hand over and all kinds of shit. Then she's telling Chris McDonough, well, there's things I shouldn't say publicly. And Chris, hold on. My son came in to give my husband an energy drink. I don't know. My son hates it. It's great. Okay. But anyway, so sorry, I was interrupted. I forget what I was saying. Let me listen a minute.
And well before dark. I mean, but it was chaos, as you could imagine. We were pretty well coordinated as a neighborhood unit, without any help. So, you know.
yeah, I mean, this obviously this is a huge deal for everybody, and you specifically, it sounds like you're the first one there, and obviously you're the first one engaged. And what was your initial fear What came over you, not only from a mom's perspective, but from that neighborhood perspective? What hit you?
When I knew that she was missing, like I knew something wrong with her calling for that moment.
Sure, yeah.
My fear was like I knew.
I remember what I was saying because we're going to move on a little bit here to the Chris McDonough thing. So, how does Chris McDonough hinder the case? Jody Sue's telling him, I want to leave that private for the investigation. And Chris McDonough's going, no, okay, I understand. But then he continues to question. He's playing his interrogation tactics as a cop on YouTube, which isn't fair to the case of Summer Wells. Because Jody might be used as a witness, or he's giving her the impression that this is okay to do, in my opinion. He's out here saying, hey, it's all right. It's okay if I hinder the case. Let me ask Jody Sue these questions in the same manner that I asked Hunter, in the same manner that I asked Candace. Like, Summer's case just started and she was still missing at this point. This is all still 2021. It was getting cold. This was what? When was the marathon? In October? June, July, August, September. It was just going on 4 months. They're out here trying to make money. Chris McDonough's in this case, asking questions to people. How could the police do their job when they can't even get to question the people? Or, yeah, right, ain't no proof Donnie Boy had anything to do with his daughter missing. I don't think there's proof that any of them to us. I think it's what the police have that's important. We come out here and we speculate, but what I do know is Chris McDonough is an ex-police officer and he knows right from wrong. And he shouldn't be out here, and you're right. Because Donnie did some bad things in his life, and maybe those are things that shouldn't have been brought to light, or like the hoax called Mary, it could have been code. In my opinion. It could have been a cry for help. Maybe get this to the feds. Pedos and shadows. You're right, objection. They had people in and out living with them all the time, and it's odd. Pamela Wells has like 16 kids, and they move all over the country, and single moms are. Hello, honey. Thanks for joining us. But anyways, let me get back to the hindrance case. This is where I believe Chris McDonough causes hindrance.
Has raised concerns is Chris McDonough. McDonough, a retired homicide detective, is known for his work with the Cold Case Foundation and his YouTube channel, The Interview Room. His actions in the Summer Wells case have been scrutinized for potentially jeopardizing the investigation. Chris McDonough's early involvement and public presence. McDonough's early involvement in the Summer Wells case included interviews with key figures such as Candace Wells Summer's mother and Hunter, a 15-year-old who was with Summer on the day she disappeared. These interviews took place before law enforcement had the chance to conduct their own detailed investigations. By stepping in early and making these interviews public, McDonough may have influenced witness testimonies and public perception, complicating the investigative process. By interviewing key figures so early and making these interviews public, McDonough may have unintentionally influenced the narratives of other witnesses.
I'm going to pause for that comment. Paula, you're right. The parents don't have to talk to anyone but law enforcement. But you know what's really sick is at the beginning of my life, and I'm not going to put it back on because one, I closed it out, and two, it was a little too descriptive for me, and it was re-victimizing somebody. But the lab sure as hell went to when police officers came and talked to Dawn and put that shit online, and I'd like to know how he got it because it has to be some sort of illegal way. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm confused. Single moms are. I'm gonna ignore that. Please don't say no slurs. I'll have to block you. That's like, I don't know what's going on there. We're just gonna ban and delete. Oh, Paula. Baby, I'm so sorry to hear that, honey. That has to be so hard. My prayers are with you. I'd ask my chat and my bush watchers and anybody who sees this, please say a prayer for Paula. That's rough when you lose somebody you love and you've been with for so long. Okay. Back to Chris McDonough because I was trolled.
This can lead to memory contamination, where witnesses might subconsciously align their memories with the information they have seen or heard in public forums. Such early and public interference can significantly complicate the collection of unbiased and accurate testimonies, which are critical in the initial stages of an investigation. Allegations of stalking in private discords. There are serious allegations against McDonough, including claims that he has stalked individuals linked to the case at doctor's appointments and participated in private Discord groups. Screenshots have been provided by various sources to support these claims. Such actions, if true, could severely impact the integrity of the investigation. Engaging in activities that could be seen as witness tampering or intimidation is a significant concern. The allegations of stalking and participation in private Discord groups add another layer of complexity. If McDonough is indeed involved in such activities, it raises serious ethical concerns about his methods and intentions. Stalking, even if intended to gather information, can be perceived as harassment and can intimidate potential witnesses, making them less likely to cooperate with law enforcement. This not only hampers the investigation but also creates an environment of fear and mistrust. The Scamathon event. McDonough participated in a controversial event known as the Scamathon, a live gathering of creators that lasted 10 days and collected money under questionable pretenses. This event led to lawsuits and litigation, further complicating McDonough's involvement and raising ethical concerns about his actions and motivations. The Scamathon event, which gathered funds purportedly for the Summer Wells Reward Fund, has been criticized for its lack of transparency and the involvement of various creators with dubious intentions. The lawsuits that followed highlighted the chaotic nature of this event and brought into question the motives behind it. McDonough's participation in this event blurs the line between professional investigation and sensationalism, raising concerns about his commitment to maintaining the integrity of the case. The impact of public analysis and accusations. McDonough's detailed and public analysis of the Summer Wells case on his YouTube channel has the potential to contaminate witness testimonies and influence public opinion. By discussing specific details and theories, he may unintentionally lead other witnesses to alter their own memories or statements to align with what they've seen online. This phenomenon, known as memory contamination, can significantly hinder the pursuit of accurate and reliable evidence. Additionally, McDonough has gone on podcasts with individuals who are critical of the Wells family, such as Josh at the Lab, and has had public confrontations with Don Wells during live sessions. McDonough has accused Don Wells of molesting his stepsisters and friends, bringing these accusations live on YouTube. While these accusations are serious and the victims deserve support and justice, bringing them into the public sphere in this manner has only fueled chaos and speculation around Summer's case on social media platforms. Accusations against Don Wells and their impact. One of the most significant actions taken by McDonough was pushing the authorities in Utah to open a case against Don Wells based on allegations of molestation made by his stepsisters. This move added another layer of complexity to an already convoluted investigation. This impact on witnesses and evidence. By publicly pushing these allegations, McDonough has influenced the testimonies of witnesses who may now be swayed by the media coverage rather than their own recollections. This could lead to inconsistencies and contradictions in statements, making it harder for law enforcement to piece together the truth. Legal and ethical concerns. Taking serious allegations to the public before law enforcement has had a chance to investigate thoroughly raises significant ethical concerns. This can lead to a trial by media, where public opinion starts to sway the course of justice. Such actions can also complicate the legal proceedings, as defense attorneys might argue that their clients cannot get a fair trial due to the extensive pretrial publicity. Confusion and distraction. Opening another investigation in Utah has led to confusion and distraction from the primary case of Summer Wells. Resources that could be focused on finding Summer and investigating her disappearance are now divided. This additional layer of legal action can slow down the progress and lead to further public speculation and misinformation. Ethical considerations. As a former law enforcement officer, McDonough should be well aware of the importance of maintaining the confidentiality and integrity of an ongoing investigation. His decision to publicly involve himself in the case and share detailed analyses raises ethical questions. While his intentions may be to help solve the case, his actions could inadvertently undermine the investigation, making it harder for law enforcement to do their job effectively. Balancing expertise with discretion. McDonough's extensive experience and expertise in homicide investigations are valuable, but they must be balanced with the need for discretion. Publicly discussing an active investigation can lead to unintended consequences, such as alerting potential suspects or influencing other witnesses. Law enforcement agencies often withhold specific details to prevent such issues and maintain an advantage over those they are investigating. Conclusion. Chris McDonough's involvement in the Summer Wells case highlights the challenges that come with balancing public interest and investigative integrity. While his expertise can provide valuable insights, his public presence and early involvement in the case have the potential to complicate the investigation. As an ex-police officer, he should understand the importance of protecting the integrity of the case and exercising caution in his public engagements. In conclusion, McDonough's actions, ranging from early and public interviews to participation in controversial events and making serious accusations on public platforms, demonstrate a pattern that may have more harmful effects than beneficial. While public engagement and expert analysis are important, they should never come at the cost of compromising an active investigation. The focus should always remain on finding Summer Wells and ensuring that justice is served, without creating additional hurdles for law enforcement.
Understanding the roles of Jodeci Brown and Chris McDonough in the Summer Wells case is crucial for grasping the broader challenges law enforcement faces. Their actions have brought both attention and controversy, highlighting the delicate balance between public involvement and investigative integrity. If you found this analysis insightful, please like, share, and comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to stay updated. Thank you all for watching and listening. Stay tuned for more content from Crystal's Crime Conversations.
So I did decide she seems to know right much. McFluff. This is my Facebook. If anybody wants to copy paste or whatever, it's in my husband's name. Y'all know why. We ain't gonna get into it. But I did go back and find this. However, I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit because that part we were on was a little too detailed. But when you go into hindering cases, the interrogation of Dawn Wells with Roy City Police Department on YouTube, while you're exploiting the essay of women Dawn possibly did something 2 years ago and bringing back their nightmares. It's quite disgusting.
Work when my daughter come up missing. They don't understand that my 3 boys were at home and they were questioned by FBI and all that. They were questioned by all of them. See, they don't understand a lot of the cases that I can't even talk about. I'm not supposed to talk about. And I sure ain't going to blab it all over YouTube like these girls have done, my stepsisters.
Yeah, and like I said, I apologize. I don't know anything about that case.
Yeah, that's all over YouTube. My little come up missing.
I'm
She's
sorry
been
to hear
gone
that.
since June 15th. She's been abducted off her property.
2021?
Yeah. That's her name.
No, I'm just trying to get through,
It's my understanding Jeannie dropped her charges. Objection. And the other girls didn't want to go through with it. They couldn't get the charges to stick. It was a long time ago. Jeannie felt pressured. It happened to her, but she was exploited. She never wanted to hinder Summer's case, and I don't know where her and Mary's relationship stands. Like I said, I only talked to Jeannie once. You would have to ask Tiffany a lot more. I covered it. Tiffany covered it a lot, and we can cover it again. I have the lives, and Tiffany still has those lives up. She wants the information out there because she feels Chris McDonough is a reason the charges didn't go through, in my opinion. But this is gross. And he used the lab to do it. Who, like,
You get your side of this story.
we're going to go back to that, but scams women and plays games.
Now, was she used by him? I'm not going to weigh in either way. She gave him money. Did he make up stories about what the money was for? I do believe that's probably very possible. Did she get paid back? To my knowledge, from her lips, she said he paid her back. That should be the end of it, right? But yeah, so Susan H said they shouldn't have shared it with creators if they didn't want it shared. That's exactly right. But I'm not going to sit here and get blamed for our integrity being bad when we didn't share it. But we instead sat back and watched this BS, everybody go crazy about it like they didn't have any idea about it. Tiffany Marie, what are you asking? Did Cam see the messages? Does anyone know which messages, Tiffany? Here, Tiffany. Here's the link. If you want to come up. There's the link for you, Tiffany, if you want to. That's the question, too. Was it McDonough? I don't know. Was that speculated? Yes. I don't know who bailed him out. It was $7,600. That's all I know. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to see if Tiffany's going to take this link and come up here for a minute. Now, what I did see was that if California is a two-party state as far as recording, it's a problem. Right? That's a big problem. There she is. Really, you?
Hi, Cam. Yeah, it's me.
Okay. What's up?
I just wanted to see if I don't know if you're just finding out about some of this stuff, but
No.
I just was asking in the chat if you knew about the messages that I was sent by Jenny Penny, where she had said that she absolutely thought it was you that had leaked those.
Dude, that's what I was just talking about. I actually was talking about. I saw your live. I don't even know. It just started playing earlier, and I was listening, and I was like, "Oh," because she called me. I've had that stuff for months, the recordings, everything. Because this is weird. She reached out on our called on Cracking Cases, like our Facebook Messenger, which we never answered.
Which she said that, if I recall, she said she made a fake account for her.
Yeah.
And we had no clue who she was. We had never talked to her.
For some reason, just answered it.
Yeah.
And she was like, just starts telling us all this stuff. And I'm like, why are you, it was just weird to me why it was being brought to us. And this was when? Before July?
I don't remember exactly.
Do you think it was probably before July?
Probably, yeah.
And she called. When was that last week? I have my days. Last week, maybe. It's been very recently. She called and she was like, "Did you? You were the only people that had those recordings." And I was like, "I didn't give them to anybody."
And we had no idea that the recordings had gotten out.
Yeah.
All we had seen was the Grab's first 2 videos.
Yeah. Which I had sat and watched and knew who it was coming from and didn't say anything.
But we didn't know that the actual recordings were out there.
But didn't know the recording. Yeah, exactly. So she calls and she asks, and she's like, do you know this angel talks too fast? I was like, yeah, I know her. And I said, I played 30 seconds of one way early in because I was upset about what you told me about what Josh some nefarious plan when he showed up on my panel one time, long time ago. And, I even retracted that and was like, and Angel came to me and said, do you care if I play a little bit of that? And I said, I don't have permission to do that, so probably not. Well, Jeannie asked me, you didn't have permission to do that? I said, no, I didn't, but at least I'm being honest with you that I did play that, but I haven't leaked anything. And
Story. I mean, she's saying you used to take her on motorcycle rides, and put your finger inside her while you're dating.
She's such a liar. She is such a liar. Hell no. These are all lies, dude. Hell no. How you gonna? No.
What?
Never mind.
Donnie?
These are all lies.
Donnie, on Jeannie's case here, Tara Hartman also made a statement on this one. And she said, she just to corroborate what Jeannie was saying, she said Donnie used to give, all the kids a ride on the dirt bike across the field. And, she says he took, one time he took me and was asking about if my dad.
We're going to go back to Jody Sue and Chris McDonough here because I personally don't want to hear them re-victimize these 6 or 7 women one more time. I'm going to even close this tab out when I click out of it, and I'm not going to come back to it. However, we are going to continue with Chris McDonough and Jody Sue Brown playing games during the marathon. Nothing like hindering a case.
That noise, and my fear was like I knew how long it'd been between that noise and her not being found, and I was already like, and I knew there hadn't been any other noises after that, which told me that she's unconscious or dead. And it was, is she gone? I mean, like, it was an immediate, oh shit, somebody's, like, something, you know what I mean? But it was, for me, it was like, you run through possibilities, like, okay, you hear the scream, and then when I get to the bottom base point, I know something's wrong. My brain clicks those two things together and goes, scream, and now this long after, was she left behind while they were playing? Was she hurt? If she is, there's not many noises since, so was she, like, she's dead or unconscious, or, I mean, it was a drastic oh shit for me because of the time period. It wasn't just, oh, well, I knew almost, it was like, man, something's super wrong, or I would have heard her crying, or somebody would have heard something in that period.
Yeah, you have an amazing heart, Joyce. You really do. And so let me ask you something personal. How's your health? People have you have health issues, so forgive me for asking on a public forum like this, but
It's not good. It could be better, for sure. But, life is what it is, and it'll march on. You know what I mean? But yeah, not good. He's a true soldier.
Yeah, you're there day one, and that's the most important. source of information like anything else. And there's going to be, there's always pluses and minuses, right? I mean, even when, I sat down with Candace, I mean, she sat down on that rock down by the water. And literally, I mean, forget what people have done, right? I mean, the old saying is you don't get to choose your victims. And you don't. And we're all broken. Every person that I've ever met, including myself, we're broken. We're all broken. But when something of this magnitude takes place, we all seem to sometimes have this spirit within us that comes together for a brief time, and we're fixed together. And then we try to fix things, and then we move on, and our lives, kind of take over again. But with this situation, even what I saw in Candace, and I know her past, I know she can be scandalous and all this other stuff. I've been there.
I think that for me, things can exist simultaneously. You can look like this and be this type of whatever, but also you could maybe not be responsible for. But then again, I've always been open to the possibility that any possibilities can exist,
Correct. I mean, where we need to be, not proof of innocence or guilt or any of that. That's never been my intent. It's never been my intent to investigate. My intent has been, where is Summer Wells? A1.
That's all of our intents, to find out where Summer Wells is. I'm going to end this portion of my live right here because you get the point. Chris McDonough hindered Summer's case with Jody Sue. I didn't talk much about Ziggy and Fred today, but they've also hindered the case. It's weird to me. The discords, the squats, the squalls. I feel like I want to go on and on like Jody Sue does. I see Jody Sue's point, but Jody didn't come out here, and I didn't even get to the portion yet where she starts talking about her shirt. She'll give money. I don't even know that it's in here. That might have been in another part that I had heard. I'm going to cut this because I don't want to not finish this. There's a lot left to it. However, it's getting late. We have 38 minutes left to this. Maybe I'll come back in the morning and finish this. However, I do want to move on for the last portion. We're going to close that down because it's easy to get to. My live earlier today, I covered Kid Rock, who was talking about a little bit of politics that I think is criminal. You'll get my thoughts from earlier, but I want you to hear the questions that were being asked. I think he comes out and he tells you how criminal even the producers and how everybody has their hands in the cookie jar. When it comes to what they do with things as simple as our concert tickets, like I said earlier, I cover music as well, and I too love going to concerts. I don't know if you noticed this last summer, I went to quite a few. I mean, I don't even care. I'll cut the portion out. The kids are in my bedroom trashing it. Oh boy. All right. Let me go. Earl, you want to go see what they're doing in there? Yeah. They're jumping all over the place. I can hear it. Okay. Let me show you. I love live music, and I love sharing live music with my subs. I love going to concerts. I try to go to as many as I possibly can. Where the hell are my videos? Lordy Lord, they can't be this far back. My son got music blasting. They think it's like 10 a.m. here. The cold weather got everybody all kinds of messed up. You hear the grandbaby screaming. Ooh, ooh, ooh. But I love the right. Here we go. Here's Wiz Khalifa, the baby, Yellow Wolf. Like these were 3 right in a row. I seen Michael Phillips. I went and I seen Avril Lavigne this summer. Sean Paul came with them. There's a group of people. Like, I love going to concerts, and I absolutely hate how much it costs to go to some concerts and how many we have to give up to go. And when I found out that what they're doing in Washington, D.C., it's actually criminal. It's like a way for them to take our money and rip us off and rip others off. And they give all of these brokers like thousands of tickets to sell at really high prices, right? Like, and then the average person can't get into the concert. And what we have here is Kid Rock. And I didn't look up the Pearl Jam yet, but I'm hearing much like Pearl Jam in the 90s, which is something they've been fighting about as I'm listening more to this, has been fighting this. And it's, to me, it's just ridiculous. And I think more Americans that love music need to have a say, hear this, and bitch. Like, use your voice if you love live music.
I wanted to, Mr. Ritchie, I wanted to ask, in your experience, your direct experience, how much control does the artist have in what the final price for an artist or a customer pays for that ticket relative to the add-ons?
The final price or setting the price of what we'd like?
The final price.
The final price, well, not much.
So you
I mean,
can't.
that includes all the fees that tacked on, how the buildings make their money, everyone this, that, and the other. There's, they charge how much to print out a ticket at home, all these little stuff that makes no sense, like that everyone's up in arms about. We get a ton of say in what we want the tickets priced at, because that's where we make our money, and we make the majority of that money. As I'm sure Mr. Wall will be happy to tell you, that's true. But at the end of the day, no, we don't have any over all those fees and everything that they tack on and all the stuff that people are really upset about. If I say tickets are $49, whatever, fans are usually like, okay, that's great. As artists, we want to treat our fans right. They know that. But then when they get to the end and they check out, they're like, why is this thing $75?
Right.
It's supposed to be $49. That's a huge problem.
Right. And there's no way when you can't restrict the contract. When you're signing a contract with that promoter, they're unwilling or unable to guarantee that they can, assuming, obviously, if we do a federal law that,
Like, make me understand when you buy a ticket to a sporting event or a concert or even to dinner. I've spoken about that before on here, down in Florida, down in Miami, like all the bars and stuff, they tag on their drinks entertainment fees. Like, don't you think we pay enough? That's just a way for people to make fucking money off the average person, and it makes it harder for us to vacation and to go to these concerts. Like, those fees need to be ended. Entertainment fee. Suck my ass, entertainment fee.
This is why I said subpoena some of this stuff, because what I've heard, people are getting kickbacks from this. Sometimes it's the managers or the artists. There's a lot of people at fault here. I'd like to put it all on Ticketmaster and they take the majority of these blows, no question, them in Live Nation. But there's a lot of people there with their hands in this cookie jar that it shouldn't be in. And that's why I hope you subpoena a lot of these contracts and look for some of this fraud, because I bet there's some folks who go to jail.
I'm not going to judge anybody on that evidence. Yes.
Like, amen for Kid Rock calling this shit out. It's about time somebody does, and I think more musicians should. Like, we have all these protests in Minneapolis and all that other stuff. Well, this is where finances hit the average American. These are the things we need to be fighting about. Tax prices on our milk, on our eggs, on our beef, on our damn concert tickets or amusement parks even. Like, it's crazy. We have a park here in Pittsburgh called Kennywood, and the tickets are like fucking outrageous to take a family. It's almost impossible. Yeah, you gotta have like $600 to visit this shitty park that ain't nothing like Disney World or Hershey. You know what I mean? To have a good day with a family of four. It's absolutely insane. I want to go on fucking vacation with $600 or pay my fucking rent or my gas bill or like, come on now. How could any family do anything together when the fees are always so fucking high? Or the ticket or the greed? How as an average citizen can an average family enjoy time out together as a family when everybody got their hands in the fucking cookie jar? And this goes above and beyond just concert tickets, in my opinion.
Since last year, the FTC's all-in pricing went into effect. Have you guys seen a change in the market since that? And maybe each one of you can describe a little bit what the change is. And then also, if we made that a federal law rather than just a rule, would that make a difference? So that's the two questions. Have you seen a change, and would
That's great. I think that's great for fans. Just more transparency, so they don't get sticker shock when they go to checkout with all these hidden fees.
Okay.
It's been very important because contrary to what a lot of people believe, ticketing companies can't decide how to show these prices. It's the content owners who sort of dictate this, and so you have a problem getting everybody on board. It's now, we've been pushing this for years. The system is working. Some people were saying that there'd be a lot of problems. There haven't been any problems. It turns out this works just fine.
Right. And you think there's a benefit to making it a federal law as opposed to just a...
Yeah, there's a benefit. There should already be federal laws in place if you want to play politics with our damn ticket sales. But let's keep in mind that this also takes money away from the venues, which they go through in another part that I'm going to cover another day. Like StubHub and Ticketmaster and all those, they do all this with like they're losing money. It's a lot of money. The venues no longer have control over who hey, Lone Wolf. They no longer have control over where they're like, there's a part in here, it's so hard to explain. There's a part in here where they're explaining like they have control, the artists, like if they play at Hershey Park, they can't come to Pittsburgh and play because it's too close together. Or if they had just played somewhere in Pittsburgh, they can't play another venue that another corporation is running, and the artist is losing money. The tickets are being hiked up. It's turning into a monopoly. They're lobbying down in Washington, D.C. with something as easy as fucking tickets. And the venues in your area are losing money. Like your area, your communities, your cities, they're losing money that could be used for taxes and for fees, and like it's taken away and it's paying a bigger corporation a monopoly. Everybody's lining their fucking pockets, and it's taken away even from communities, in my opinion. And it's not making it easy for artists to make money or for fans to want to listen to music anymore, which in my opinion is really important in life. It gets so many people through life, you know? Actually, I'm going to share something with you again tonight before I go.
FTC rule?
The only thing I would ask with that is the industry has adjusted to the FTC rule, so tried to be as consistent as possible, but otherwise, yes, absolutely.
Taking what's working and just thank you.
Yeah.
I yield to the more experienced person up here than myself. Mr. Berry?
Yep, we absolutely support all-in total upfront pricing. We've been advocating for years, and I want to thank the FTC for doing it. And I do agree it should be codified into statute.
Okay, Mr. Weingarten.
Yes, we've been working. We, meaning the National Independent Venue Association, has been working throughout the states, and we've gotten a lot of states on board for some time, and they've been everybody. It's been great, and I think a federal law with that would be Terrific.
All right. I appreciate that. I do have more questions, but I'm going to just put them in
Yeah.
written form for
We've
you all
had
and
them
let you
here
go.
for a little while. Mr. Berry, I do have one more for you. What percentage of the tickets that are sold on your platform are from brokers?
I don't have a specific percentage, Senator, but what I can tell you this, if you're a broker, or if you're a nurse, or if you're a season ticket holder, you're held to the same rules. You have to deliver the tickets as they have been ordered. You will be penalized or thrown off platform if you are not. The marketplace has to keep both sides of the equation honest.
I would like for you to submit for the record.
Absolutely.
That number. Mr. Weingarten, do you agree with that?
I 100% do not agree with that. I think that is very false. And we experience that, as I mentioned in my testimony, we experience that on a day-to-day basis. And I guarantee you that all the 100 venues that I represent for the Colorado Independent Venue Association and elsewhere will say the same thing.
I want to share this with you since we're talking music. This is doitforthelove.org. They are an absolutely amazing organization. So I'm sharing it for two reasons. One is you can donate to it if you like the idea of it. Two is not only does it service children, but it services young adults that have medical problems or that have been through something really tough, usually a medical problem. Check it out. My son, who's a 2-time heart transplant, we had gone to this camp, Camp Sunshine up in Maine, which was absolutely amazing. I'll tell you about that another day. I'll promote that because these are things that I've been through with my child that he's had the opportunity to be given to have some good things happen to him in life when he's struggled so hard through lots of medical problems. But anyways, you could grant a wish. So you can recommend somebody, and what it is they much like Make-A-Wish for young adults and children. Look, this one looks like they got to meet Kiss. This one got to meet JoJo Siwa. Here's a meeting with Billie Eilish. And it's like really just give them a good look. You can either donate or you can ask for a wish for somebody who may be in need of happiness. They're amazing. We wanted to meet Linkin Park. We were approved, I believe, I think, or we were in the process of putting it in to meet Linkin Park. They were coming to Pittsburgh on tour, and then Chester Bennington ended up unalived. You know the story. Actually, I want to talk about that one night. But so we had our second pick, which was Walk Off the Earth, which is a Canadian band, and they're absolutely amazing. Check them out. And we got to meet them in person. It was a personal visit. Like there was other ticket holders that came in and bought tickets, and we got to sit down, but it was a private show, and it was really special to us, not only because it's memorable for my son, but memorable to Walk Off the Earth. These people had just lost a band member at the time. They called him Beard Man. His name's Mike. But they were releasing, I don't want to play it because I get copyright, but they were releasing a song they wrote for him that day. And it was such an emotional and great performance, and something that we can never, ever forget. And we're so grateful that we got to experience that. And my son got to experience that because he absolutely loved this Canadian band. So, and my whole family did, really. Like, I took my daughter to a Taylor Swift concert one time, and they allowed the whole family to come. I took my daughter to a Taylor Swift concert one time, and they were doing a replay on a Megatron of Walk Off the Earth, and my daughter screaming, I love Walk Off the Earth. So it was actually a really amazing experience for our whole family, and a really amazing experience for my son, something he'll never forget. And I think that if you could give a little, or you know somebody that needs a little of love that's in the situation, check this website out because they're absolutely amazing. All right, guys, I'm going to conclude for the night. I'll see you at some point tomorrow, hopefully. But pez amore, peace and love. I hope you get it. Chris McDonough, I still think you're fucked up and hindered to cage. Jody Sue Brown, you're no fucking angel. All right. Good night, guys. Bye.